Action Comics 1000 is the 1000th issue of the original run of the comic book series Action Comics. It features several Superman stories from a variety of creators, including previously unpublished artwork by Curt Swan, who drew Superman for decades. It was a commercial and critical success, being the most ordered comic of the month.
Action Comics 1000, I believe there's 8 or 10 stories in the book. This is the first comic that's ever been gone to the issue 1000. There's just a ton of short stories. We can get a variety of what other creators like in Superman.
The first story that I liked, the Superman, the story Metropolis, the city that has everything, it's kind of an epitome of the classic Superman. Does what he has to do, takes no credit for the action, makes sure that everybody's safe, and again, kind of doesn't want any attention put upon himself, puts it on the people involved and, taking care of the job that they need to get done.
The first story that Phil just started talking about is written by Dan Jurgens. He was a guy that was writing in the late 80s, early 90s. For me, some of the best Superman stuff, The Death of Superman, I think he's been one of the better Superman writers
in recent history.
Oh, definitely. Well, yes, in probably history, because when you compare that old stuff, it's garbage. But hey, we'll let that go, okay? Because again, you're 90, so you appreciate that. This has probably been the best Superman book in 25 years, since early Dan Jurgens stuff in the 90s.
It's a lot better than the new 52.
Here's another thing. Me and Phil are agreeing. This is crazy. This story he got it right. How people love him. They actually want to give him a day, but he doesn't want to be a part of that day. He doesn't think he should be a part of that day.
Doesn't think he deserves it.
Right. People come up with testimonials, what Superman did for me. And there was that one criminal. Superman just didn't decide to beat him up and throw him in jail or, mutilate him like Batman would. He gave him a chance. And it took a couple chances, but now he's bettered his life. So this former criminal comes out and says, Superman gave me the chance, and he didn't have to. He's got world things to worry about, but he's worried about me. This is the best story of the book. I think this first story. It's worth the buy just for that story.
Never-Ending Battle is a story that kind of shows Superman's perspective. It's got the old villain Vandal Savage. You don't see him anymore. You don't hear of him anymore. A big staple.
He was in the Justice League this week. He's back.
Well, he's back now because of this book.
Yes. Okay.
Because prior to that, you didn't know who Vandal Savage was unless you grew up reading comics in the 80s. Superman kind of tells his past in the story and shows the different aspects of his career at different stages, bringing him up to the present, showing that he's got, Vandal Savage is trying to take him out because he's not prevalent. Despite that thought, he comes back and, makes sure that his presence is still valuable and known.
I enjoyed the artwork in this, too. I think there was a different artist for each page, it seemed like,
This page kind of is a tribute to the 1978 Superman, the movie.
Yes. Yes.
The Phantom Zone panel.
The only good thing about those movies
was the end.
Well, no, number 2 was the only good, but we've already talked about that in the past.
We'll stop
in the question and answering thing.
Okay.
You could see that there was different art styles for each period of time that they were going through, and that's for Frank Miller.
Yeah.
They did it in homage to Frank Miller from the the Legends of the Dark Knight Returns or whatever, with him getting zapped. I would have to say that this is probably the worst pinup in the whole book.
I have to agree.
This right here should have been taken out of the book. It's one of the worst things. It actually turned my stomach looking at it. And let's see if we can get it. Oh, it was John Romita Jr. who drew it. The worst pinup in the whole book.
That also goes back to the old classic issues in the 60s and 70s where you'd have the 80-page giant special price, and you'd have these pinups of artists of the time, and he's known as an artist, not a good one, but as an artist.
Right. Even back with those old 80-page giants, that artwork was better than this crap.
Yeah, that's true.
The first 2 stories was quality.
Decent.
Then we had a John Romita Jr. thing. You puked in your mouth. And then what happened? We came to this story.
Enemy Within, not the best. It's kind of a weak story. It's an old school story.
But that's you. That's you. You're old school.
No, not that old school. The character is troubled. He's got a problem. However, he's being taken over by an alien force, and Superman's going to come to the day and serve and rescue him. It's weak.
The story didn't bother me because it's a 4-page story. in a 4-page story, how much quality are you really getting? You've got 4 pages to get it done in. That's the problem with these anthology books, where you give, you're going to put 10, 12 stories into a thing. Some of them are only 4 pages. You don't get anything. You don't get a lot of substance.
They didn't tell me a good story with that one.
See, I didn't dislike it. I thought it was weak, but I didn't dislike it, and I enjoyed the art by Kurt Swan.
Yeah,
And
the artwork was very good.
Yeah.
And the tribute to Kurt Swan, very
Yep.
nice. I'm glad they did that.
So I'm not disagreeing. It was weak. I didn't dislike it as much as you disliked it, but I still thought it was just an okay 4-page story.
Butch Matson.
Oh yeah, you got to watch out for Butch Matson.
Butch Matson is the guy who dances with Lois Lane, takes Lois from Clark, and that's why Superman comes about and picks the car up and dashes it against the
Because he was
car.
jealous.
Well, that too.
Yeah, because Superman
He's
was
trying
jealous.
to save Lois from Butch Matson.
Superman was almost evil.
I bet you didn't even know Butch Matson, the guy's name.
I don't remember his name. I could care less. No
Action
one cares.
Comics number one.
No one. It's unreadable. No one
No, it's
cares.
not
It's a
unreadable.
historic book. I give it for that. Right? It's a historic book, but it's not readable.
It started an industry.
Yeah, it did start an industry, but it doesn't mean after 80 years that it's any good.
If it's not readable, why did you sell me 2 copies of it?
Yeah, well, because how many copies of this book did you buy?
I think 4.
Yeah. Okay. Because of the covers.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Was the other book any different than the other one that you
No,
had?
but the cover was different.
Oh, okay.
Tribute of the 30s and 40s.
Oh,
you know.
but did you reread it to see if there's anything different inside?
No, I
There
didn't.
could have been.
No, I doubt it.
Just remember, things move until you actually open it up. You don't even know what order that's going to be in.
Pretty sure it's the same book.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this book. I think Jeff Johns and they give
Very
Richard
good.
Donner some credit. I doubt
Very
he had
good.
anything
Very
to do.
good
They just put his
story
name
writer.
on it. Guy's overrated. It's, I mean, the guy did Superman movies in the 70s that weren't all that great, but somehow people look at him that he's a hero.
You worry me.
Can we cut?
So the next story is the 5th season. This is the Scott Snyder story. It was lackluster. It was terrible. I don't even know why they put it in the book.
It's because it's the great Scott Snyder. The guy is a hack. Right here, he hacked Superman. This story was the second worst story out of the whole book.
Yeah.
Even like the Tom King story, because it was only 3 pages long, and that clown couldn't ruin Superman in 3 pages. So that's a miracle. You give him more pages, that story's ruined too.
Snyder did it, I think, in 4.
Yeah, but Snyder ruined it in 4 pages.
Yeah.
Superman talking to Lex Luthor about the past when they were in Smallville together. They actually pretty much brought the TV show into the comic book. Yes,
The artwork sucks too.
I'm disgusted by it. I don't even want to rag on the guy. He doesn't deserve to have his name mentioned. The artwork is bad. The story is lackluster. Scott Snyder, again, he just phones it in thinking because I'm Scott Snyder, anything
It's
I
gonna be
write,
gold.
people will love it.
No.
Well, not that piece of garbage.
No, that sucked.
Trash. Yep.
Sucked.
Me and Phil are we're on the same page. And if Phil says it was bogus,
It was bogus.
yes.
It was horrible. Action Land.
No, I didn't even see who wrote this. Oh, it's Paul Dini. Okay. Paul Dini, I could take a leave Dini stuff.
Back in the Batman action or the Batman animation series,
Yeah.
that's Paul Dini.
Well, go back to doing kids animation books,
That's
okay?
true.
It's
Now-
stay out of this stuff.
I will give credit, though, to the art on this because
Yes.
it was Jose Garcia Lopez. Very good artwork.
Yep.
But, shit story.
Because why? It's about Mitzelplix or Mitzelziplix or what?
Mitzelpidlix.
Yeah, Mitzelpidlix, the most useless character in the DC universe in the history of comics, because some clown way back in the day, I don't even know who was the first writer of this imp, but they decided, hey, let's just put a bunch of consonants together, and we'll call it a name. Nobody knows how to say his name, but the problem is nobody cares. So you want to call him Mitzelplix, Mitzelbiddleplix, Zipple, Zappledoo, it doesn't matter. Nobody likes this clown. DC needs to learn to keep him out of comic books, because usually when he's in a story, it's not good. Talking with other people that have come into the shop, I don't think anybody liked this story at all.
Well, with good reason.
Right, because first of all, you got an unpronounceable character's name. It's like, again, I don't understand. Make it so you can pronounce it. At least if it's a good character, you'll try to learn it. No one tries to learn that idiot's name.
Well, again,
you did though, because you're anal.
It goes back to the 30s. I believe it was Joe Shuster who created the character.
He actually created this clown too?
It was a comedic, poke like the Prankster and the Toyman. Two other
Right.
characters that you don't even hear about anymore.
But you know something? I'd rather see the Prankster or the Toyman in the in a book than this idiot.
Yeah, this was hard.
And obviously you haven't read something recent for Superman, because I just read something where the Toyman was in it just recently.
And pretty decent.
It was all right,
Winslow Scott?
There's another I didn't say, hey, you're the Toyman, you know. It's,
Winslow Scott.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's probably been more Toymen. Who knows?
No,
I don't
it's
know.
just Winslow Scott.
Yeah, Winslow Scott. I could care less. I could care less what his name is.
Mixius Pitlick.
See, you were one of 7 people in the world that know how to say that. And you know why no one else wants to try to say it? Because
they
why?
don't care.
Right. Why do you want to clutter your brain with stupid shit like that?
Because it's part of the character.
Joe Shuster should have been embarrassed for coming up with that. He's rolling in his grave now, knowing that this is a crap piece of character that I put out, and they're actually still using it.
Just remember, it was a simpler time in the 30s when they created it.
Yeah, but you still couldn't pronounce it in the 30s.
Well, I just did. It's
Oh,
not even
because
the 30s.
again, you're anal.
That's true.
Yeah. I personally think the artwork overall in the book was really good. There was a couple stories where it wasn't that good. You had that pinup by
Romita.
John Romita Jr. that was like a kid with no arms drawing with his mouth. There was some stuff that wasn't great, but I don't think it was bad enough to take away from the book that you didn't enjoy the book.
Right. I think the best story that I liked was the car, and I think again the artwork was by Art Coppell. It touches on that classic Superman look. It's clean. It's decent looking artwork. It's not cartoony. It's not the
Abstract.
schlock. It's not abstract. It's not the schlock that they sometimes put out.
Not
in
Ed
books.
McGuinness.
No, not
Ed McGuinness is right.
Horrid.
Not Ed. Right.
Horrid.
Right. Ed
Horrid.
McGuinness. If you want to read a children's Superman book,
Get
and he
that.
draws it, because I mean he draws it like it's a cartoon.
But overall, the artwork was very good, and even some of the pinups. One of the pinups at the back of the book.
We're not in the back of the book, and we're like in the middle of the book
Yeah,
now.
we are.
You have no clue.
No, it's down here in the back. Crying out loud. Let me find it.
Oh my God, I am so bored.
There. Jorge Jimenez.
Yeah.
That was a good pinup. I
Yeah.
want one in my collection.
Yeah,
Actually,
well,
I have 4.
Well, right. But it's Superman. Of course, you want one in your collection.
course.
You need someone. You're just biased for Superman stuff. You need someone. You need someone to say that's not afraid to rip a book apart to say it's a total piece of trash. That's me. I'm not afraid to. But I really enjoyed this book, and I think it's definitely worth the buy. It's worth the read, and it's a piece of comic history now. I mean,
Right.
it's the first book to hit 1,000. No book has done that yet. It's definitely worth owning it. It's a good read, good artwork. I don't think you can go wrong.
Just 2 bad stories.
Right. 2 bad stories. I mean, so that's fine.
Well worth the $7.99 cover
Yeah,
price.
and Tom King didn't screw it up. I think it's the first comic book in recent years that I think that he didn't screw up.